Hello and welcome to another session of the My Solo 401k Financial Daily Webinar Series. We're excited today to discuss, will Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k slash $40,000 SALT deduction under the Big Beautiful Bill? If you have questions or topics that you wish to discuss, please chat those over and we'll go through those questions or topics sequentially. We appreciate the chance to discuss questions or topics. As always, the presentation is being provided for educational purposes only and should not be construed as tax, legal, or investment advice, nor as a solicitation. When making an investment decision, please consult with your tax attorney and financial professional. If you're finding this video to be helpful, if you please like this video, it'll help us get the word out to other entrepreneurs just like you who may be trying to get this valuable information to help secure their retirement account. So please don't hesitate to like the video. We do appreciate that. Now, as far as today's agenda, we want to go over the history of the SALT deduction, how Roth conversions may affect your ability to take those SALT deductions. What is a solo 401k? So we can lay the foundation in terms of how a Mega Backdoor Roth may or may not impact your ability to take the $40,000 SALT deduction, which now may be available under the Big Beautiful Bill. So we'll lay the foundation by understanding what is a Mega Backdoor Roth and then potential SALT planning with regards to Mega Backdoor Roth contributions. So the history of the SALT deduction, it refers to the ability to deduct state and local taxes. So before 2018, these were fully deductible. From 2018 to 2024, there was your ability to deduct those taxes was capped at $10,000. Now, the recently enacted Big Beautiful Bill raised the cap to $40,000, but there's an income phase out. So above a certain amount, if your income, adjusted gross income, modified adjusted gross income is above a certain amount, your ability to take that deduction will start to phase out and eventually be eliminated if it's above a certain amount. And then in 2030, unless the Big Beautiful Bill is extended, the cap will revert back to the $10,000 amount from the prior era. Now, how Roth conversions may affect one's ability to take that SALT deduction is that it increases your AGI, right? When you process a Roth conversion, that means you're converting money from a pre-tax status to a Roth status. Now, you have to have a plan like the one offered by My Solo 401k Financial that allows for Roth conversions. If we're talking about Roth conversions inside of a solo 401k. But again, that is going to be a taxable event. It's a reportable event because you're moving pre-tax dollars from a pre-tax status to a post-tax status by moving those funds into a Roth account. So that will add income to your total amount of taxable income for the year for which you make the conversion. So that may impact your ability to take that SALT deduction, right? Because as we mentioned, with the Big Beautiful Bill, above a certain amount, one's ability to take the $40,000 SALT deduction will start to go down and eventually be eliminated if your income increases above a certain amount. For example, a $50,000 conversion of pre-tax solo 401k funds to a Roth solo 401k at a 9% state tax rate will amount to a $4,500 in additional state tax owed. So if you're already at the SALT cap, none is deductible federally. So that's how Roth conversions can impact one's ability to take advantage of the $40,000 SALT deduction under the Big Beautiful Bill. So now we want to see how that may or may not impact or may or may not be impacted when you're making a Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k contribution. So before we get to the Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k contribution and the impact on the $40,000 SALT deduction, let's first understand what is a solo 401k. So a solo 401k is a 401k plan that's available to self-employed individuals. So in other words, it's an owner-only plan. So in order to be eligible to set up a solo 401k, you need to be self-employed. So that means you're reporting earned self-employment income. Could be Schedule C, could be income reported on a W-2, for example, if your business is taxed as an S Corp or a C Corp, or income reported on line 14 of a K-1 in the case of a self-employed business taxed as a partnership. That's the first prong of eligibility. The second prong is not having any non-owner, non-spouse, full-time W-2 employees working for any business owned by such person or a spouse, if any. That's what makes someone eligible to be able to set up a solo 401k. Now, there are certain features that may or may not be available under your solo 401k plan. Now, the plan that's offered by my solo 401k Financial is a full featured plan. So it's going to allow for all the features. For example, our solo 401k plan allows for, of course, employee contributions, also known as salary deferrals. It also allows for employer contributions, also known as profit sharing contributions. These contributions could be made as pre-tax contributions or as Roth contributions, both employee and employer. And finally, it allows for voluntary after-tax contributions, which is how one makes Mega Backdoor Roth contributions. So when you make a Mega Backdoor Roth contribution, you're really making a voluntary after-tax contribution. So you have to have a plan like ours that allows for voluntary after-tax contributions. And because a solo 401k plan allows for these different types of contributions, because it allows you to fill up different buckets of contributions, it ultimately has the highest contribution limits for any defined contribution plan available to self-employed individuals. For example, for 2025, you may be able to contribute, if you have the self-employment income to justify it, up to $70,000 or more if you're age 50 or older. If you're 50 plus, you could go up to $77,500 because you could also make the $7,500 catch-up contribution. And then if you're age 60 to 63, instead of $7,500, you can make what's called a super catch-up contribution, which would allow you to potentially contribute up to $81,250. Finally, our plan also allows for investing in alternative investments with checkbook control. So that checkbook control can be super important to those alternative investors because they can act quickly on investment opportunities. So these are true alternative investments like real estate, crypto, private equity, precious metals, etc. So that's the foundation of what a solo 401k is. Now let's understand what a Mega Backdoor Roth solo 401k is. So a Mega Backdoor Roth solo 401k contribution entails, first of all, making a voluntary after-tax contribution. So some plans allow for Roth contributions. So typically that means you're making what's called an employee Roth contribution, but you're still limited to the employee contribution limit. For 2025, that's $23,500, plus if you're age 50 or older, catch-up contributions. But our solo 401k plan also allows for what is referred to as voluntary after-tax contributions. So the voluntary after-tax contribution limit is the overall limit. So if you have the self-employment income to justify it, one could make voluntary after-tax contributions all the way up to $70,000 for 2025. And then step two, those voluntary after-tax solo 401k funds would either need to be converted to a Roth solo 401k, so they're kept inside the plan, but they're moved to the Roth solo 401k sub-account, or moved out of the plan to a Roth IRA. So the plan that's offered by my solo 401k Financial allows you to move to either destination, either moving the voluntary after-tax solo 401k funds to a Roth solo 401k or to a Roth IRA. So that's the second step. So the benefit is, of course, that the contribution limits are so much higher. As I mentioned, right, they're much higher than the standard employee Roth contributions limits, and they're 10 times higher than the Roth IRA contribution limits. And once the funds are in that Roth solo 401k account, now they're going to grow on a tax deferred, potentially tax-free basis, just like any funds in the Roth solo 401k. So only if there were earnings that accrued while the funds were in the voluntary after-tax solo 401k account, when you move the earnings over to the Roth solo 401k or Roth IRA, that earnings portion would be taxable. But most customers will move the funds right away from the voluntary after-tax solo 401k account to either the Roth Solo 401k or outside the plan to a Roth IRA, so that those earnings can start growing on a potentially tax-free basis. So that's what a Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k is in a nutshell. So how does that relate to your ability to take the $40,000 SALT deduction that now may be available under the Big Beautiful Bill? Well, we talked about how the Roth conversion increases your income, so it may push you outside and above the income limits above which you're eligible to claim a $40,000 SALT deduction. But with the Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k, those contributions are made on an after-tax basis. So when you move the money from the after-tax account to the Roth account, it's not going to be taxable. It's only taxable if there are earnings that accrue inside the after-tax account. And as I mentioned, most will move the money right away so that there are no earnings accrue or very minimal earnings accrue, like a few pennies or a few dollars. So this effectively means that your income will not go up. So it won't have any impact on your ability to claim a $40,000 SALT deduction. Now, if you delay conversion, there may be taxable earnings, which then could have a material impact on your ability to claim that $40,000 SALT deduction under the Big Beautiful Bill. So for high income taxpayers, there is going to be the SALT deduction phase out, but if you're right up there next to the limit, the Mega Backdoor Roth can present a workaround where you can have funds that accrue inside your Roth Solo 401k or Roth IRA without having any negative impact on your ability to claim the $40,000 SALT deduction. So there's a lot of discussion about this just in our community, amongst our clients, etc. So we wanted to take the time to explain and just answer any lingering questions out there. We appreciate the chance to do that. Again, if you found this video to be helpful, please like this video. Helps us to get the word out. Please share with others that might be interested in the topics. If you have questions, we have time, so please don't hesitate to chat that over. In the meantime, we'll invite you, number one, to subscribe to our channel, as we do go live every day, and we come with topics such as this. It's always an open forum where you can ask questions, so feel free to also come with your own questions, whether on the presented topic or even unrelated topics. We always appreciate the chance to answer questions and engage. We also invite you to our community, mysolo401k.net/my community. We have the largest community of self-directed investors, solopreneurs around solo 401k plans. We have over 30,000 members. So that means we've got forums. We have a library of videos and webinars. It's totally free to join. All are welcome. So it's a great way to learn, to share the knowledge. So please don't hesitate to join the community. Again, at mysolo401k.net/my community. All right, well, it looks like that may take us to the end. We'll just give it one final moment here. Thanks for checking out today's session. Please continue to engage. Please subscribe so you can get notifications of our next live session. And all the best, everyone. Thank you so much.